Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Ross on Cars. I'm Ross Furlong and this is a Porsche 992 Carrera S. Well, I was very excited to get this 992 into review. Thanks to Paragon Porsche for lending it to me this morning. Interesting about this car, the first thing I noticed is that it's Guards Red, which is kind of like an 80s colour, isn't it? But apparently it's making a comeback. And I saw it on quite a lot of press cars when this car was released back in November 2018. And apparently all the associations with yuppies and braces is kind of gone now, and it's back to being a popular colour. And you know, it looks good. It looks good in red, I think, and particularly with these kind of smoked headlights. And 992, of course, evolution of the 991. Always there's an evolution of these 911s. They don't tend to change too much, but notable on this one is that it has much wider front, so it's 44 mils wider on the front. The main changes actually visually are at the back. It never changes much from the side. The profile stays the 911. So let's just take a little bit of a look around the car and see what's what. So around the back end of this 911 is where the main design changes have been made with the 992. You can see the lights really are the most noticeable thing. They're much thinner and wider than on the previous model, and I think they look very, very nice. It gives this whole sense of a wider back end, which I'm always very appreciative of on a 911. Those of you who've seen my review of the 996 4S will understand what I'm talking about there. The exhaust pipes, similar position. These has got sports exhausts on it. The Carrera's got squared out ones. The registration plate was also lowered slightly on this model. It kind of sits a bit higher on the 991. And the grille's a little different with this kind of light in the middle. But all in all, we've done a very, very good job in improving, I think, the rear view of the 911 on this 992. So around here at the side angle, you can see that they've kept the classic iconic 911 side view. The only real noticeable change is the door handles, which are new and they pop out when you come towards the car. And this Carrera S has 20-inch on the front and 21-inch wheels on the back, with 6 pot calipers on the front and 4 on the back. Well, here I am inside the 992, and the first thing to notice is what a lovely place it is. I was amazed when I got into it. It feels very 911-y, but brought right up to date. So 911-y stuff, you know, seating position is very nice. The steering wheel is in exactly the right place. I'm in sports seats here. I feel like I'm being hugged. You can look over the top of the steering wheel, and you know, you're quite hunkered down here, and you can get into a very comfortable driving position. I was playing with these electronic buttons to get into the right position this morning, and I couldn't find the one that makes you move forward. I was thinking, oh, what's that? And it turns out they've got an old-fashioned lever down here that you just pull, and there you are, which is a nice touch. It's a bit like reminiscent of my 1990 964. It's just a nice little 911 touch that reminds you that, you know, what you're actually in. Equally, you know, you've still got the rev counter bang in the middle of the dashboard with an actual needle, not an electronic needle, an actual needle. The rest of it is all electronic in terms of display, so that's bang up to date. But it's very nice the way they've kept that kind of combination of actual rev counter and then all the electronic dials. If you look around the interior, I suppose the gear knob is probably one of the most distinctive design features. It's got this kind of Noel Bentley-like kind of top to it, very lovely and tactile. And the buttons, all the buttons have disappeared now from the center console. You used to have tons of them for all your options, but now it's been simplified. Still are some nice buttons, and you know, compressed sports exhaust there, for example. You know, all the important ones are there. Most important of all is probably this one here, which is the wheel, which allows you to put it into Sport Plus mode, or wet weather. Yeah, just a very, very nice place to be. I think it's about time we started up and took it for a drive. About an 8-speed gearbox here, quite long-legged, so when you've just got it in normal mode like I have, it's quite relaxed, but even so, it's got such a good low-down torque from those twin turbochargers, 3-litre flat 6 engine, that if you want to get a wiggle on, even in normal mode, it's all there for you. One thing I noticed about this car, it's very seasonal thing, but we're in the middle of a massive heat wave here. It's August 2022 in London, and it's got this little toggle down here, so you can just toggle up and down on the fan, so you can keep it as cold as you like, which is mercy on a day like today. And just you know, it feels very 911, very comfortable in here. I wouldn't say it feels particularly GT-like. I'd say it's kind of more on the sports side, sports GT. You kind of feel like you want to really drive this and start chucking it around a bit. And that's even in normal mode. We'll put it into Sports Plus mode, and it really is going to gun for the horizon. So also there's quite a lot of, like, you know, engine noise, and the cabin noise is quite high. I think Harry Metcalf's always talking about the decibel level in a 992. Well, it's true. I mean, it's not quiet in here, but I suppose, you know, as a sports car, that's all kind of part of the experience. So maybe it's more of a sports car than GT, really. But yeah, you'd want to take it to a track day. You definitely would, and see what it can do. One thing to talk about with this car in particular is, obviously being the S version, is if you're going to buy a 992, should you buy the S or should you buy the Carrera? Well, this S has 450 brake horsepower, the Carrera has 385. I haven't driven the Carrera. This one has plenty of power. I should imagine the Carrera would be plenty powerful enough as well. I would think that for the £13,000 it costs you to get an S over the Carrera, base price with no options, really you'd be very tempted just to take the Carrera but put a few options on it, like the sports exhaust, because the sports exhaust does make quite a difference. You get a kind of a burble, a kind of that low down exhaust note that you want to hear in a sports car, and I think that it's definitely worth the entry level. A few other bits and pieces, I think you would not notice. You would not notice the difference. So for my money, yeah, go for a spec'd up Carrera, and I'm sure we'd be happy as Larry. Right, there's this little sports button here. I'm just going to toggle that. That's sport. Immediately you can hear the revs go up, you can hear the engine note go up, and then boom, Sports Plus. Let's have a look. All of a sudden you're 2 or 3 gears lower, the engine's revving, it's primed, it's ready to go, it really wants to go, and as soon as I find a straight bit of road, I shall go. Gearbox on this, so it's got paddles, but the gearbox on this is so sorted that you don't really need to use them. Right, oh come on, my word, look at that. Whew. It's a big old shove in the back. Let me tell you, that is plenty of power, plenty of power. You're then just wondering, well, can the chassis handle this? And it can. There you go, you can hear the gear shift going down. And here's all the traffic again, so yeah, that is a proper bit of speed down there. Yeah. Like I said, you really kind of want to take this to a track to sort of explore its limits. It's that sort of car. I wouldn't mind driving it long distances as well, of course, but yeah, no, it's a bit of a hooligan, but it's telling you, it really is giving you lots of feedback from the road on what you're doing, and it's not going to scare you unless you do something really silly. I quite like these red seat belts as well, I have to say. I mean, I would never historically choose a Guards Red 911. I suppose I'm one of those people that maybe thinks it has connotations with the 1980s and yuppiedom and all that kind of stuff, backlash, but actually it really suits this car, you know. It looks right. sports cars historically are red, you know, going back in the history of time. So why not, you know? And I think I was reading some stats last night that in America, the Guards Red is actually the most popular colour, or it's voted the most popular colour, along with a more modern one, Miami Blue. So these sporty colours, you know, colours that aren't bashful and hiding themselves under a bushel, they're definitely making a comeback, and that's all good. It's all good. Says the man who's got a grey 911. Anyway, I think just my verdict on this car. Then I've got to get it back to the garage in a minute. But my verdict on this car is superb. I mean, really 911, but taken to another level and modernised, retaining all the character of the tradition. You know, it's just, you always wonder, then they come out with a new iteration of this car every, well, I don't know, 5-6 years, and you just think, what are they going to do next? But the way car technology moves on, you just think, you know, yes, this is a very desirable 911, and obviously there's a reason why this is the benchmark sports car. It always wins the best sports car awards, doesn't it? Pretty much always. It's unusual when it doesn't. And yeah, the winning formula returns. Right, now I think I might have to do a bit of overtaking here, so I'm going to go off camera. Yeah, leave your comments and questions down below. Bye for now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that review of the amazing 992S. If you did, press like down below and also subscribe, because I've got lots of very interesting cars coming up. Hope to see you soon.